Episode 361. Today we're talking about the opening day for the NHL, which starts in just a couple hours here with the Blackhawks and the Panthers. We obviously know what the Florida situation's like, and they have Barkov out, they have Kachuk out, so guys are gonna have to step up there. They're still gonna be a good team, regardless of the guys that are down. They still have a lot of veterans in the mix, and I think one guy I'm really intrigued to see how he plays right off the bat, and looks like he's gonna get a top line shot, if not at least a second line shot, is Brad Marchand. I imagine that given that he's on a good team, he has winners around him, he's got really good line mates around him. There's a chance and a legitimate chance that he could turn back into a 60-point player in the regular season. I don't think that's crazy to me because you look at guys in the past, for example, Joe Pavelski is a really good one where we thought he was going to drop off, and then he goes to a new team in Dallas and just kicks it out and just continues to get better and improves, and his game only elevated as he got older. I think with Brad Marchand, the thing is, he's probably one of those guys you can look at as one of their ageless wonders, so to speak, for lack of a better term, because he's a guy you can still rely upon as a top nine forward. You know what you're going to get out of him. He can be reliable in any given situation, any given night, and he just plays an all-around game. And he plays with a mean streak. He plays with tenacity. And the way he played in last year's playoffs, that leads me to believe that there's still more left in the tank for him. And I don't think he's done. I think it was just a more matter of the team that he's playing on in Boston, where they were kind of depreciating and guys are moving in and out and coaches are moving in and out. Now you're moving into Florida, a set situation where they've only continued to get better over the last few years. And I think Brad Marchand's going to be a key element more than we think to that roster turnover that they have right now with the guys that they have injured and the guys that they have to rely upon a little bit more. So Florida, you can never underestimate them, even when they're injured. They've always seemed to find a way to handle adversity and use it as motivation. So I imagine this is not going to be a huge issue for them, given that they have Barkov and Kachuk out. Plus, they dealt with Kachuk being out last year. It's just going to be a little bit different having Barkov out. But other than that, not too much of a difference there. And we got obviously got the Penguins and Rangers. That's gonna be an exciting one as well. I really believe the Rangers are in for somewhat of a bounce back here after the year they had last year. And they could really start on the right note, given that they're playing at home. They're playing against the Rangers. This gives them a legitimate opportunity to be able to kind of captivate the attention of New York again in terms of the hockey market. And given that they were on a wild card spot for most of the year last year, especially the middle of the season and the second half of the season. And I think the players they have now really can just elevate with Mike Sullivan as their head coach. I think that's going to be a huge difference maker. They have Joe Sacco in that mix as well. I mean, these are guys on their coaching staff now who are experienced, who are veterans, and they have proven track records of winning. And I believe that this coaching staff, not necessarily alone, but the coaching staff in tandem with the players is going to be a really good mix. Mike Sullivan's one of the best coaches in the NHL, and he's just going to be a really great fit there in the Rangers. It's just everything with Sullivan is just it's a perfect fit. So that's going to be a distinct change within the Rangers core. And but I honestly think that they're going to at least be a two or three seed, if not a one seed. I just don't see how they're going to be anything worse. I look at this team, and yes, it's most of the same players they had last year, outside of Chris Kreider and Jacob Trouba. But you look at the roster, and it's pretty much the same. It's just a little bit younger, and they have some guys who can fill some veteran roles in their bottom six as well. And on Pittsburgh's side, they're gonna have Ben Kendall playing and Harrison Brudicki playing. So two intriguing young players who are gonna be in their lineup right away and who made the opening night roster. Both were playing really well throughout the preseason, and I thought were very good offensively as well, and showed some two-way positional play that I think allowed them to be able to crack the lineup right off the bat. And then the late game tonight at 9:30, Avalanche are in LA. So it's going to be a really fun series of games. Obviously, the games kind of lead back to back to back with the 4 o'clock, the 7 o'clock, and the 9:30 Central Time, and that's going to be very exciting. It's going to be really exciting to see how Colorado moves right off the bat. And obviously, just they're one of my favorite teams to watch, just in terms of pure style, how they play offensively, and how they use so much to be able to try and generate offense. And now you have Gabe Landeskog who's back in the mix. You have Martin Necas who's going to have a full season under his belt there. Artturi Lehkonen, we could see a very healthy Artturi Lehkonen. We have Brock Nelson in the mix. Now you look at this team, and there's some elements to this team that make it really intriguing. Like Victor Olofsson's a really good top nine player as well. Ross Colton, really underrated as a defensive player and a shutdown player, right? And then Jack Drury you can rely upon as more of your third line center. I believe he's going to take a step up this year, and he's going to evolve his game even more. And then their fourth line, Parker Kelly, and it looks like it's going to be Zakhar Bardakov, and then Yoel Kiviranta on that fourth line. And obviously the back end with Taze and Makar and then Gerard Manson and then Brent Burns in the mix as well. So I'm really intrigued to see how this whole situation plays out. I think it's going to be very exciting. And the only key thing for them right now is what's going to be the case scenario with Mackenzie Blackwood, given that he's day to day. But other than that, really just Colorado is going to be a very exciting team to watch this year. And I'm excited to see how Gabe Landeskog plays. I would imagine we're going to see at least 60 points out of him, given that he's had a past trajectory of being productive. And regardless of him making the comeback, he was effective right away in that playoff series against Dallas. And that's a huge factor. Having Landeskog back, but also having him play and be able to adapt within the lineup almost instantly. Now you're going to have him back for a full season. So that's going to be intriguing too. I think this is just a team that could very well make a far run. It depends on if they stay healthy. And another one I like is Valerie Nichushkin. Valerie Nichushkin's battled injuries and other situations, but the guy can put up around 30 goals if he's consistent and playing in the lineup regularly. So I mean, there's so many weapons that they have who play different styles. I think that's a main asset of Colorado too. They have a lot of different guys inside their top six this year who play very different styles of game. Like Artturi Lehkonen, Nathan McKinnon, and Martin Necas together, very different players. And then you look at their second line with Landeskog and Nelson and Val Nichushkin. Again, very different players. You could argue that Nelson and Nichushkin are the most similar of anyone, but I mean, this is gonna be a fun team to watch, and they're just gonna be bringing a lot of speed, a lot of tenacity, a lot of energy, and it's gonna be exciting. And then on LA's side, I mean, you look at what they've done. They brought in Ken Holland, and he essentially takes a lot of the players he had in Edmonton, signs them, and then he signs some veteran players in the mix too. Obviously, we know Corey Perry's going to be out for a period of time, so that is what it is there. But Cody Cece's another one. They got Brian Dumoulin as a veteran, and they just added some veterans in that mix who can be reliable and guys who can win as well. And we know it's Anze Kopitar's last season. This is going to be I would imagine his one of his better years that we'll see out of him. Just the way he plays. And the good thing is that when Kopitar is going to retire, Byfield and Dano and Turcotte can slide up really easily. So that allows them to be able to have that advantage that not many teams have. Because they would lose their first line center, other teams, and they'd be screwed. But with LA, they're not. They have Byfield down the middle. They have Philip Dano, who can be a second line center, and then Alex Turcotte, who can evolve at least into a third line center. So you have a good mix there. In LA, I like their game. I like their speed. I I just want to see them be able to be consistent. I think the biggest consistency they had in their line the second half of the season was that top line with Kuzmenko, Kopitar, and Kempe. Those trio together were just they were dynamite and they were almost unstoppable. So I'm curious to see what a full season of Andrei Kuzmenko is going to be. I don't imagine it's going to be like the 40 goals that he had his first year playing, but there's still potentially a lot of offense that you can weaponize out of his game and that you can take advantage of there. He's an intriguing player. He's exciting to watch. There's elements to his game that make him intriguing. So yeah, Kuzmenko is going to be, I would argue, sort of an X factor because there's elements he's either bring he's either going to bring him a lot or he's not going to bring much of it. So it's really dependent on him and what he's able to do. But yeah, it's going to be an exciting day. And having a full slate of hockey again is very exciting. And this time of year is always my favorite time of year as well.